Hey there, everyone. It's Michaela from Ascend Smarter Intervention, where we make research-based literacy intervention easy and accessible. Today, we wanted to jump in and talk about vocabulary, and how it relates to morphology. Often, we hear that vocabulary instruction is being offered to students as a form of morphology instruction. And we wanted to debunk a little bit today about how they are overlapping, but we do need to go a little bit further with vocabulary than just morphology. So to start, let's jump in and talk about what is morphology. This is the study of how our words form and change. So it may include instruction around prefixes, suffixes, and Greek and Latin roots. We're looking to see how all of these different pieces come together and hold meaning in order to form different words in our language. For example, if we look at the word non-refundable, we see that we have a prefix here, N-O-N, non. We have the A-B-L-E suffix and the word refund. When all of this comes together, we see that the prefix non means not or without, and the prefix or at the suffix here at the end means able to. So this word, when all together, would mean not able to refund something. This is really helpful for students to be able to segment the word like that and find meaning in the different pieces. As students get older, those Greek and Latin roots will also be really helpful. Things like C-E-N-T, cent, meaning 100, will help them understand words like century. Things like bi, bi meaning two, will help them with bi-weekly or biannual, bicycle. All of these different terms that they're going to hear can be broken down and supported through understanding these different parts of the word and what they mean. However, if we stop there, we're not really instructing students on all of the different vocabulary skills they're going to need. We know that we need to be explicitly teaching our students all of these skills so that they have the ability to use them when they are applying it in general, whether it's in a session or in life or in school. So what happens if they don't recognize the rest of the word? Maybe they've gotten the morphological instruction to understand the prefixes and the suffixes, but if they don't understand refund, that's not going to help them understand how this word is used or what it means. And if they don't understand it, we need to show them how they can find the meaning of that word, how they can look it up, or how they can understand what that means. So that poses the question then, what should vocabulary instruction include? And there's a couple of different components that we're going to talk about quickly today. The first is categorization. We want students to accurately be able to group words, pictures, ideas, or concepts together. For example, if you look at the picture here on the left, you see that students have the words and pictures cherries, watermelon, and apples. They should be able to then identify that this is a group of fruits, or they all fit into a fruit category. Now, some students may say they're all things or they're all foods, and they're not wrong, but we need them to be able to get to that smallest or most specific category. Yes, they're all foods, but even more specific than that, they are all fruits. On the other side, you see that we have the category or the group, and students are asked to identify things in that group. So for example, vegetables, they should be naming things like broccoli, peppers, carrots. That way we know that they're accurately able to come up with items that would go in these different categories. The next thing we're looking for is, can students define words or understand words in context? This may be in a sentence you see on the right. This may be in a passage or a story like you see on the left, but we're looking to see, can they take a word that's used in context and understand what it means? So we'll talk about how we have them define it here in a second, but here you see that they have sentences like, the treasure was buried on the island, and we're looking to see, can they tell us what treasure is? The fresh fruit was delicious, explain fresh to me. We're looking to see if they can articulate back that meaning from the word in context. When they are defining words, we have a very specific framework that we ask them to use so that we know that they have a full picture or understanding of the word. So first, we're looking for that category again. For gloves, this could be their nouns if we're looking for part of speech. More specifically, is it a person, place, or thing? Gloves are things. Even more specifically than that, gloves are articles of clothing. Then we ask students to give a function or purpose of the word. So gloves are articles of clothing that you wear on your hands to keep them warm. Then we go into synonym and antonym or shade of meaning. Gloves are kind of like mittens, but here, instead of giving the opposite, because there's not a very clear opposite for gloves, we could say something like, gloves are like mittens, but they have 5 fingers in them instead of a single pocket for your hand. The next thing we're looking for here are multiple meaning words to see if students can recognize when a word means more than one thing. For example, if we look at the word rock, we have rock like a stone, the movement, or the type or genre of music. This is going to be really important because it's going to help students recognize when either they don't understand how the word is being used, or it's going to help with their comprehension in a sentence or passage level text or story. If students have rock and the first thing they think of is the movement of rocking, but the sentence talks about a rock outside, that's going to impact their comprehension if they're not able to differentiate between the 2 different meanings. Next, we're looking specifically at synonyms and antonyms. So this could be at the word level where we have, tell me another word for cold. Maybe a student offers chilly or freezing. For antonyms, it would be, what is the opposite of cold? And that's where we're looking for warm or hot. So the exact opposite or something that means something different. When we get down into our vocabulary framework that I mentioned a moment ago, we want students to be sure they're using antonyms or shades of meaning, like I mentioned before with the gloves, that fit the context of the word. I cannot tell you how many of my students have gone through this framework and told me a ball is kind of like a balloon, but not like a dolphin, or not like cotton candy. I mean, they're right, it's not. A ball is not like a dolphin or cotton candy, but that doesn't give me any indication as the instructor that they actually understand what the word is and have a clear picture in their mind of what it is. Instead, we'd be looking for something here along the lines of, a ball is kind of like a balloon, but a ball doesn't float. Giving that shade of meaning to talk about how it's like a balloon, but it's slightly different because it doesn't float like a balloon would. That way, we can get a much clearer picture of what the word is, what it means, and what it's like. The next thing we look for is subject and predicate identification at the sentence level. So here you'll see that we have this subject, the teacher in red, told the class to stop yawning in blue, and then this particular student added an adverbial, or the bonus as we call it, in green. These can be things that represent the when, where, why, or how. When working with students, we'll have them identify them, and we call them the who or the what for the subject, or who or what is the sentence about. The predicate we refer to as the did what, and then the adverbial or bonus there again. This is going to be really important for comprehension, and we're going to dive much further into how vocabulary and comprehension overlap next week, but finding the subject and predicate within a sentence is a vocabulary test that we do practice with our students every single time we introduce a new lesson. Next, we have parts of speech. So this is something that we often see in vocabulary. Students will often have to find the noun, verb, or adjective. We'll also use adverbs if we have them. And first, we want to make sure they understand what is a noun, what is a verb, what is an adjective or adverb, so that we know that students aren't just guessing, but they do know that a verb is an action, that an adjective is a describing word. Then we'll have them sort words. This is from one of our digital lessons here. So they would slide the different words up. Sorry, I switched the slide too early. Slide the different words up into the correct categories there. So now that we've gone through all of that, you're probably asking how you tie this all together. We know it's a lot of information, especially as you're trying to work through everything else that really strong structured literacy intervention entails. And so in order to help you tie it all together, we do want to invite you into our free training, 7 Steps to Literacy Intervention That Works, which I'll link below. And this is a course that goes through the 7 most critical components that you should be pulling into your structured literacy intervention. So again, it's a free training. I'll link it below so you can sign up. And if you liked this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We do put out new content every single week, and we'd love to have you as a part of our community. Thanks so much, and stay tuned for next week's video. Bye, everybody.